everyone, it is day 52 of World Domination, and today I am going to be continuing on with yesterday's video. If you have not seen that, you should watch it first, it'll be up there. And yesterday's video was part 1 of the top 10 languages in the world, the top 10 most spoken languages in the world. We got down the list and it started off with English, Mandarin Chinese, Hindi, Spanish, French, and Standard Arabic. And then number 7 is the one we are going to be talking about first. And number 7 was it shook me a little bit when I realized, it made me come to some realizations about my own misconceptions about languages and the world as a whole. The language that is number 7 on the list is Bengali. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I actually didn't know what country spoke that language. I was like, I have no idea where this language is spoken. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what kind of language it is. And I was surprised that I didn't know one of the top 10 languages, because I have been interested in language learning for a while. So I was like, am I a true language learner if I don't know where this language comes from? As it turns out, Bengali is spoken in India and also Bangladesh, and it has the second highest number of speakers of all the languages spoken in India, with Hindi being the first one because it was also higher on the list of languages total. Basically, as I dove deeper into this, I realized that of all the languages spoken in India, of which there are around 22, all of the top 5 languages spoken in India were in the top 20 most spoken languages in the world. And those top 5 languages spoken in India are Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, Telugu, and Tamil. Also, don't know if I pronounced any of those right. Correct me in the comments. And then Tamil is 19th place. So that is the second to last one on the extended list. Out of those 5 languages, I had never heard of 3 of them. I didn't know Bengali, I didn't know Marathi, I didn't know Telugu. I had heard of Hindi and Tamil. I'd also heard of some other languages that are spoken in India, such as Punjabi. That one I was surprised to see was the 11th most spoken language in India, which is like way off of the top 20 languages worldwide list. But for some reason I knew that one, but did not know all of the top 5 languages spoken in India. That's like a little bit of commentary on how much we really learn about other languages and other cultures in Canadian schools, which is really sad actually, because I looked this up, and according to the 2016 census, 365,705 Indo-Canadians lived in BC, which is a total of 8% of our population. And in total, there's 1.38 million in the visible minority population in BC. So guys, fucking teach them better shit in schools. What the hell? After Bengali is Russian in 8th place with 258 million speakers. In Canada specifically, there's only 188,255 native Russian speakers, which equates to about 0.54% of the population. This doesn't take into account people who speak Russian as a non-native language, but it's still not a common language to hear. And kind of comparing this, German is much more common in Canada. There are 384,040 native speakers and 1.1% of the population. Plus, if you add into that, Germany offers a working holiday visa for Canadians. So there's a high level of cultural exchange between the two countries, and you find like a lot of German backpackers coming across the country, or like German exchange students are pretty popular, pretty common here too. So Russia doesn't have a working holiday program with Canada, and I think that's why I thought that German would be higher on the list, because I've never been to an area where there are a lot of people who speak Russian, and here it's just so much more common than Russian is. So a bit more social commentary on the fact that I didn't know that. Basically, all of that was to say that my perception was greatly skewed by my experience. Standard German was 12th on the list with only 132 million speakers, which is about half the amount of Russian speakers. Coming to the bottom of the top 10 list, we have Portuguese in 9th and Indonesian in 10th. Sometimes I forget about Portuguese, and I doubt I would have thought of it if I had actually tried to guess the top 10 list beforehand, because it just kind of seems to live in the shadow of Spanish to me, which sounds really mean to say, but in this area of the world, Spanish is more common than Portuguese, because I guess it just is. You don't really see Portuguese classes in school, you see Spanish classes in school. I guess because Spanish is higher up on the top 10 list, but you also see Japanese classes in school, and Japanese isn't even on the top 10 list. So I don't know. I don't know why it is that Portuguese isn't as common as of a learning language to learn as Spanish, but it just isn't. And then Indonesian, I did not realize that this region of the world had that many speakers or was that big. I wouldn't have even thought of it at all. I didn't really know that Indonesian was what the language was called, which I guess it makes sense. Indonesia, Indonesian, but I don't know. I didn't really have any clue of how big Indonesia actually was, because it looks just like a bunch of islands, which is essentially what it is, but it's really big apparently. It's the 4th most populous country in the world, so that's why there are so many speakers of Indonesian. Literally, the original purpose of this article that I wrote and this video was to just kind of give information on the top 10 languages in the world, because I feel like most people don't know what they are, but it kind of turned into more of a social commentary, my thoughts relating to language education in Canada and the US, and all of these things, and my thoughts relating to different countries, thoughts that I didn't even realize that I really had. After this exercise in languages, this video and yesterday's video, and the other language 2-part series before this, which I'll link up there, I really think that we in Canada should really learn a lot more about other countries and cultures, because we really just focus on us and Europe, which I understand why that is, because why not learn about Canada when you're in Canada and are a Canadian? But also, I don't know anything about India. I don't know anything about Africa. We never even did a single unit on any of those things that I remember in high school. And even learning about our own indigenous people, we only learn about what happened to the indigenous people after the Europeans arrived and colonized. So I think it's really just centric on those things. And I think that there are a lot of arguments for why that shouldn't be the case. Did the top 10 languages in the world surprise you? Because they definitely surprised me, but you might just be better educated, more worldly than I am, so who knows? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, hit like. If you like me, subscribe. I will be doing more informative videos every day of the week, not always on languages, and not always informative, but for the most part, there'll be informative videos on a wide range of topics. This has been me, and you'll see me tomorrow with more information for you. I don't know what state borders Washington State. I think it might be Idaho, but it might also be Iowa, because I think they're different things.